Oh, I think we're live. Yeah, we're live. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Brilliant, brilliant. All right, everybody. We are back for another Facebook Live edition here at Locker Room Talk. Started a little early today, so we'll wait a couple minutes. I know I hopped on a little early today. Last time, I was a couple minutes late, so I wanted to give it back to you guys. I owe you guys. So just give us a couple minutes. I mean, we're here early. If any of you guys that are on have any questions about the recruiting process, anything like that, feel free to shoot them my way now in the comments. I could get to them before we start. Other than that, let's sit tight, wait like 2 more minutes, and we'll get rolling. All right, pulling up on my phone now. So if you see me, I'm not texting, I promise. Just getting it up so I could see all your comments and questions throughout the program. So again, we are here a little early tonight. We got a few minutes, so if you have any questions, any comments that you want to ask that maybe aren't related to tonight's topic, but related to the recruiting process, locker room talk, just let me know. We have a few minutes so I can get to them before we get going. There we go. Alrighty. I'm excited. It's been 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to getting back, talking to you guys. I have fun doing this. I hope you guys have fun coming on, watching, interacting with me, getting to learn some stuff about the recruiting process, about college athletics, anything that we're here to help. So if you have any questions, if you guys have any topics that you want us to talk about that we haven't covered yet, let me know. Comment on these videos, go to our website, email us at info@lockerroomtalk.com. We're always open to new ideas. We want to hear from you guys, give you guys the best content possible. So if there are topics that you think that could help you or other high school athletes, people going through the recruiting process, let us know. We're more than open to any ideas you guys might have. And, if we like them, you guys we might turn them into a Facebook Live. So help us out. Help us help you. That's kind of how I look at it. So I see we got some people rolling in. It's getting close to 7, so I'll go ahead. I'll get started. So, again, I'm Nick. I'm sure you know that by now. We're back here for another Facebook Live at Locker Room Talk. Tonight we'll be talking about the transition from high school to college, not just about the athletic transition, but everything from the academic side to the social side, to obviously the athletic side. We will be getting there as well. But before we get that, I want to let you guys know about all the awesome stuff that we do offer on our website. We have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of college coach ratings. You have access to the largest college coach rating database in the entire country. One click. The best part about it, it's all free. We don't charge anything to get onto our site. Have access to all these ratings, college coach interviews where we ask coaches from everything from a rugby coach to a football coach to a lacrosse coach, everything in between, all divisions. We talk to them directly, ask them what they look for in recruits, how do you get on coaches' radars. So a lot of great information on there, and that's just a tip of the iceberg. Again, it's all free. Go on there, roam any part of the site. At no point will you be blocked. Oh, you have to pay for this, pay for that. Nope. All free, thousands upon thousands of college coach ratings. Find the coach for you. Make the recruiting process a lot easier, a lot less stressful, more open, more honest, easier. And if you're a college athlete, go on there, rate your coach. Help these high school athletes through a process that, as a college athlete, is stressful. It's difficult. It's not easy. So make it a little bit easier for the future generations of college athletes. And then keep paying it forward, and eventually this recruiting process, it won't be as hard as it seems. But like I said, we are here tonight to talk about the transition from high school to college and everything that goes into it. The way that we'll break it down is we'll start the academic transition, then the social transition, and then finally we'll go with the last, but of course not least, the athletic transition. So that's kind of how I'm going to go through it tonight. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, please throw them in the comments section on this video. I will get to all of them. Like I said, there is going to be kind of an order of how I go through them: academic, social, athletic. So if you ask something about a topic that I'm going to get to in the future or later in the video, I might not respond to your question or to your comment right away. That doesn't mean I forgot about it. Doesn't mean I missed it. Just means I'm going to wait until we get to that topic that is related to your question. So don't think that I ignored you. I would never do that. Not to you guys. I care too much about you. So we'll get started with the academic transition. You know, one of the big things about, before I even get to that, one of the big differences in college, assuming that you go and you dorm at the college or you live away from home, is time management becomes a crucial element to your success as not only as athlete but as a college student. You know, most people's high school experience, you wake up in the morning, you go to school for 8 hours, you have practice or a game, you come home, you do your homework, wake up the next day, do it all over again 5 days a week. In college, it's not like that. You don't have a structured 8-hour class day. You could have classes throughout the day. Some days you could have practice at 3 o'clock. The next day you could have it at 12. The next day you could have it at 7 p.m. So it's important to have very good time management. Hopefully this video, walking away with it with a better idea of how important time management is, a better idea how to manage your time, and what to expect when you make this enormous transition. There are a lot of freshmen now who have recently made this transition within the past week or so. Obviously, all schools have started. Most of them have been within the last couple weeks. So if you are a freshman in college now and you're kind of struggling with this, hopefully this video can guide you in the right path to a more successful time management and better, easier transition from high school to college. So academically, a lot of this will be based on my experience and a lot of the experiences of college athletes that I've met, talked to throughout my time at college and working on Locker Room Talk. The biggest thing I would say for academics in college versus high school is kind of, I mentioned this before, there is no organized class. There's no organized school day. You could have a class at 8:30 a.m., then a break until 2 p.m., then a class at night. Whereas in high school, you obviously had class from pretty much 8:30 to 2, somewhere in that range, depending on your school, obviously. So that's a big adjustment at first. You know, I can't even remember the days or imagine how in high school I used to sit in the same different classrooms, but sit in a classroom from 8:30 a.m. to 2. I can't even imagine doing that anymore. It seems so foreign to me, but that's just because of how different college is. And there are some high schools that do implement somewhat of a similar system, but for the most case, obviously, you'll have the normal school day from 8:30 to 2, whatever it may be. So in college, the biggest adjustment for me academically, besides how difficult the classes were, was just the scheduling of it, how different it is, how new it is. But by the end of your senior year, it's so natural to you and you're so used to it that you almost, like me, forget what it was like to have high school classes. And another thing about college classes is just the size of them will obviously be a lot different. You could have lectures, depending on which school you go to, with hundreds of students in it. Your professors may not always know your name. They may not always have an open question and answer classroom. There are sometimes where a professor will get in front of a PowerPoint or a whiteboard or whatever and just lecture you for an hour and 20 minutes, however your class may be. So it's important to find the classes that best fit what you need as a student. If you are better with a one-on-one experience, academic experience with a professor, maybe go to a smaller college, or if you're at a bigger school, try to find classes that have a better teacher-to-student ratio. Sometimes that's not possible, especially with some of the intro classes. But so that's another big variable in college, is the class size and how sometimes you may go a whole semester in college without really even talking to your professor, just because the class size is so big and they don't have much room for question and answers. Hopefully, if you do need time for question and answers, go to your professor during open hours. They're open there. I don't know why I can't think of the term, but they'll always have time available for you to go into their office hours. There we go. Office hours, where you go into their office, ask any questions you may need. So that's another thing to take advantage of. And kind of a big thing that I kind of learned in college in terms of exams is you have to study a lot more than you did in high school. I mean, not to say that you shouldn't be studying in high school. Obviously, exams and everything like that are very important in high school, but exams in college, they usually cover more. A lot of times it's strictly from the textbook. There could be things that a professor doesn't even talk about in class, and it's covered on the exam if it's in the textbook. So it's much more of a grind to study for these tests, midterms, and finals than it was for high school. That's, again, a lot of personal experience. That's where that's coming from. But speaking to a lot of other athletes and college students, they feel the same way, that the testing is a lot different, that it's not – there are much broader tests that cover a lot more that maybe you didn't cover in class, but it's in the textbook, so the professor expects you to know it. So just academically, you'll find this across the board, but academically, it's a big step up. It's big to know what you're looking for out of a professor, out of a class. If you think you need a smaller class size, go to a smaller school. If you like the big lectures, that's the best way to learn. Maybe those big intro classes at the big universities are the best way for you. But the biggest transition in terms of academics, I would say the big takeaway is just how variable all the different classes are. You could have one class with 200 students. Your next class could have 20. In high school, you usually have anywhere from 20 to 30, sometimes even less, sometimes more, but somewhere in that range of students in your class, where the professor has a lot more opportunity, or I guess in high school, the teacher has a lot more opportunity to work one-on-one with you, where in college it's totally different. It's a totally different ballgame. We got our first question rolling in. Kirsten asks, what's the academic, athletic, social life balance like for an average college athlete? Great question. I'm going to answer this one now because it does obviously cover all three of these topics. That depends a lot on the school. If you talk to a lot of Division I athletes, they'll say that athletics take up a majority of their time, especially when they're in season. Sometimes Division I football players, they'll survey that they spend upwards of 40 hours a week on their sport during the season. That's more than a full-time job. So you can imagine how tough it is to balance those three aspects of life. So especially if you're playing Division I, you kind of have to pick one that takes a back seat. And a lot of the time, it just, by process of elimination, has to be the social life, because you go to the school to play a sport. You have to dedicate your time to that sport. And then obviously the second reason you go to college is for the education, for the academic gain. So that naturally will come second, or sometimes first, depending on your school, your situation, what you weigh more important than the others. But if I had to say what the balance was, usually it goes anywhere from academics to athletics are 1-2 or 2-1, depending on how you weight them. And then social, unfortunately, usually has to take a back seat, simply because the other two are kind of the reason that you're going to school, paying these thousands of dollars or getting paid thousands of dollars to attend these schools. So those naturally do have to come first before your social life. That's not to say if you play a Division I sport that you're not going to have a social life. There's going to be times where you have to pick and choose. Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't go out tonight. It's a Friday night. There's a big party, but I have a game on Monday and a paper due Tuesday morning. I better get that done this weekend, make sure that's all done. So social life will seemingly take a back seat. That being said, if you do play a Division III sport, there's more of a chance to balance a three. While you're in season, you still will have that dilemma of, oh, I have to choose, do I go out tonight? Do I write the paper tonight? Do I stay in and watch film tonight? But especially during the off season at the Division III, even Division I and II level, but during the off season is where you could get more of the balance, the more even balance between the three: academic, social, and athletically. So now moving on to the social transition. Sorry, just making sure we have any more questions. All right. The social transition. This one isn't, I mean, they're all big, so I'm not going to say this is a big one, but going from a lot of the times, if you go to a boarding school for high school, obviously you are on your own for those 4 or however many years, but going from a lot of the times living to with your parents or your guardians, or even if you do go to a boarding school, obviously they have much stricter rules of where you can be, where you can't be at a certain time, when you have to be in your room for the night. They have curfews and stuff like that. In college, those, unless they're team imposed, there are no curfews. There are no, everyone needs to be in their dorm, lights out by 11 p.m. You're on your own. You could do what you want, when you want. And for a young 17, 18-year-old kid, for the first time, that can be difficult. That can be a little scary, a little challenging. So you just got to be smart. You got to recognize when the best time for you to go out is. If, like I said, if you have a paper due on Monday and a game on Monday night, maybe take the weekend off. Make sure you write the paper, get all that ready, get ready for your game, get ready for your match, whatever sport you play. So, I mean, socially, I would say socially maybe is the scariest transition, just because there's so much unknown. You go to college, all right, I'm going to have a class here, I'm going to take class, I'm going to play a sport, but you don't know what's going to happen with socially, going out with the guys on the team, the girls on the team, things like that. You kind of expect, but you don't know if it's going to be for you. Maybe you don't like going out every weekend, but your teammates always are going out. So you just have to find the balance between what you feel comfortable socially. If you don't like going out, you don't have to go out. There's no pressure on that, but you just have to find the balance between, okay, if I go out tonight, is it going to hinder my performance at practice tomorrow, in the game next week? Or am I going to then have to pull an all-nighter to write a paper or study for this test? These are things that you have to ask yourself, be ready to answer, and just figure out what the best decision is for you. Maybe going to a party one night is worth having to stay up a few extra hours the next night to study, or maybe it's not, depending on who you are, what your situation is. It's always different, but just know going in that socially you're going to have a lot of opportunities to partake in recreational activities. In high school, for the most part, again, there's Friday night and Saturday night are nights to go out. In college, there will be people going out 7 nights a week for the most. 7 nights a week there'll be opportunities to go out, go to parties, go to bars, things of that nature. So you just have to be smart. The temptation will always be there. You just have to, ask yourself, is it worth it? That's the best question you could ask yourself in terms of the social transition. Is it worth it? Are you going to regret having gone to this party or going out on a Tuesday night or things of that nature? You just have to make sure that academics and athletics are the reason that you're going to these schools. If you don't have a scholarship, it's a reason why you're paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to go to school. And if you do have a scholarship, it's the reason you're getting paid by the school thousands upon thousands of dollars to go there. So you just have to really be smart. You don't want, your social life to ruin your academic life or your athletic life. I have seen that happen with teammates in the past. I'm sure many college athletes have similar stories, either personally or with teammates that they know of, where the social life, it got too much for them. It hurt them athletically, it hurt them academically, and it ruined their college athletic career, whether they had to leave the team or, they knew that they could be performing better on the field, but their social life was detracting from it. So that is the one thing, the biggest thing the takeaway from the social life is always ask yourself, is it worth it? Know the risks of your decisions you make while you're out. If you want to go out, you're a representation of your team everywhere you go, whether you're in season, out of season, in a game, at a party, you're a representation of your team. Your coach doesn't want to have to handle social issues. No kid wants to go into their coach's office and say, oh, I got in trouble at a party last night, or, oh, the cops came to my house at a party. It's nothing that coach will want to deal with, nothing that teammates are going to want to deal with. So make sure you always are responsible and always asking yourself, is it worth it? And then lastly, we will go into the athletic transition. This is a big one. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is why you're probably here. You want to play sport in college, and you want to know what to do to get yourself ready and the differences between going from a high school sport to a college sport. And the biggest thing I could just say is the training. I mean, the level of competition is, even at the Division III level, which is where I played, the level of competition is, it's unbelievable how the jump from high school to college, and that's not meant to scare you. That's not meant to intimidate you. It's just meant to prepare you that your summer before your freshman year, make sure you're getting ready. Make sure you're training every day. You're in shape. You're eating right. You're working out, whatever you need to do to play your sport. Obviously, some sports, you don't have to lift as many weights. You know, if you're playing football, obviously lifting weights is important. But if you're running track, it might not be as important. Just make sure you're running every day, staying in shape, keeping up your times. So that's the biggest thing, is just how the level of competition, and everyone in college is fighting for, I don't want to say a job, but for playing time. You know, in high school, if you are playing a college sport, you most likely were one of the best players on your high school team. That's why you got recruited. That's why you're getting paid to go to school, or that's why you're spending a lot of time playing a sport at college. It's because you were one of the premier athletes on your high school club team. So your whole life you were growing up standing out, always, you know, starting if you're a soccer player, baseball hitting third or fourth, whatever it may be. But in college, you're going to be on a team with, depending on the sport, obviously, 10 to 40 other people that were in the same boat in you in high school. So what are you going to do to stand out? You got to make sure you're training, you're ready. A coach can automatically tell the kid, oh, they didn't take the off-season conditioning seriously. Or this kid came into the fall, his freshman year, out of shape. It's not a good look. It's not a good first impression, I'm sorry. And so that's the biggest difference in terms of just level of competition. It's night and day. Even at the Division III level, like I said, I played. It's something that you can't really. You could talk about it. You could hear about how big the difference is, but it's something you can't really understand until your first practice, until your first game. So you just have to make sure that you put yourself in the best physical position to be ready for that jump, and so you can work through the transition as seamlessly as possible. Another big difference to be ready for is just the schedule. Like I said, in high school, you'll usually have practice every day after school at 3 o'clock, 2:30, whatever it may be. Have a game 2 to 3 times a week, maybe on Saturday morning. In college, you can sorry about that. I thought we had a question, but seems just be another pop-up. But in college, you can have a practice, like I said, at 7 p.m. one night. The next day it's at 2 p.m. Saturday morning you have a 7 a.m. practice, and you have a game at 8 o'clock at night one night. So the schedule could be all over the place, so it's tough to really get into a routine. Usually a coach will try to have practice every day at 4 o'clock, but sometimes you share a field with another sport, you share a gym with another team, that you can't always have practice on the same day. And practices might be longer than you're used to. They might be more rigorous than you're used to because, high school coaches obviously want to win and they're paid to do what they do. And some schools obviously are more competitive and take winning more seriously than others. But these college coaches, their jobs are on the line to win. They do whatever it takes. If they aren't winning, especially at these Division I programs, they're going to get fired and they're going to get replaced. So their practices might be tougher than you're used to. They might be longer than you're used to. You might be held at a higher standard during these practices than you're used to. And it's just something that all for athletics, it just goes back into the training, goes back into if you're in the best shape possible at the top of your game, you'll be able to adapt, you'll be able to adjust to all these new things that you might not be used to that are a lot different than high school. So just train, put yourself in the best physical position to be ready. I put it this way, you'd rather struggle in college. This might come, I'm not going to try to, hopefully this doesn't come off wrong, but at least personally, I'd rather have struggled in college because my skill level wasn't up to par versus I just didn't prepare myself the best way I can. I was a pitcher in college, so using pitchers are an example. If you go into college out of shape and you struggle your freshman fall, you don't want to be living with the regret that, oh, if I was in shape, I would have pitched so much better. I would have performed so much better. Coach would have seen me in such a better light. Hopefully if you do struggle, but you're at the top of your game, at the top of your physical, physical shape, I guess you could say, then you could say, all right, you know what? I did everything I could to prepare myself. Maybe I didn't do as best as I wanted, as well as I wanted to, but that's why the coaches are here to help me refine my skills to improve so where I can get better. That's, I feel, a lot easier to live with rather than you having to live with regret because you didn't put the time in, put the effort into getting yourself as physically ready as you needed to be. So that kind of is a brief overview of the academic, social, and athletic transition from high school to college. If you have any questions, if you're watching, please feel free to add them in the comments and I'll answer them. We got a few more minutes here. Or if you're a college athlete, maybe with a pointer or something that I didn't touch on, please add that in the comments and then anyone watching could read them. Or if you are not watching this live and you have a question, feel free to comment and then we will get back to you as soon as possible on those. Again, click the link in the description to take you to lockerroomtalk.com where we have thousands upon thousands of college coach ratings. The largest college coach rating database in the country is one click away. It's that link right in the description. Click it. They'll take you to our website, look at the coach ratings, find the coach for you, find out which school, which coach is the best fit for you. We also have a blog section that has dozens upon dozens of college coach interviews where we ask everything from a rugby coach to a football coach to an NAIA coach to a Division I coach, what they look for in recruits, what they look for in recruiting highlight tapes, how to best get on a coach's radar. And there we go. Kirsten, I rated my coach. Go on our site, do that as well. Help these high school athletes with something that, as you know, is can be a tremendously frustrating and stressful process. Rate your coach, leave your feedback. If you love your coach, help him or help her get recruits by going onto the website and letting them know and letting the world know how great of a coach they are, how great they are to play for, how great your school is. Again, click the link. I'm pointing up because I think the link is going to be above the video, but if you're on mobile, it might be to the side, might be down, I don't know. But click the link, go to our site, rate your coach, find your coach, make the recruiting process a whole heck of a lot easier for you and a whole heck of a lot easier for high school athletes in the future. Again, thank you for joining me. Our next Facebook Live, you guessed it, 2 weeks from today, which would be the 21st of September. We're going to be talking about the first time you meet a college coach, what to do, what to say. If you're nervous about it, who wouldn't be nervous about meeting a coach for the first time? Tune in, 7 o'clock. Follow us on social media. Rate your coach today. Link in the description will take you to our site where you could get access to the largest database of college coach ratings in the country, all for free. That's right, free. What's better than that? All right, thank you. I'm tuning off unless we have any last-minute questions or comments. But, all right, I think that might be it. Thank you again for all who joined. And if you have any questions, let me get low here. If you have any questions that weren't covered during this video, please comment afterwards or email us at info@lockerroomtalk.com and we will get those answered for you. Okay. Talk to you later.